This is the Sports Psychology Podcast with Michael Seeley for Wednesday, July 20th, stage 17 of the Tour de France, 130 kilometers from Saint-Gaudens to Peyragudes in France in the Pyrenees. 4 climbs today at about 11,000 total feet of climbing. Last 2 climbs are probably the most significant, and the final climb finishing up about a 15% grade at the very top. Before we get into today's action, let's talk about the situation at the Emirates team. Yesterday, Rafa Majka dropped his chain, broke his chain mid-climb, standing up, and injured himself. It didn't look like it at the time, but apparently he was assessed and not able to start today's race. So that means that Tadej Pogacar is down to 3 teammates to finish the Tour. That is not a good situation. Fortunately, he still has Brandon McNulty, his trusty lieutenant, who is very, very good in the mountains. So we'll see what happens. Let's get into the action. Today's stage, early breakaway with Simon Geschke of Germany getting some mountain points for his polka dot mountain leaders jersey. And their breakaway stayed out there for a bit, was finally reeled in with about 30 kilometers to go. Reeled in by Brandon McNulty. I gotta tell you, this guy is talented. He's been doing incredible work in this year's Tour. McNulty is just like a machine up these climbs. He literally led all the way up the second to last climb. He's at the front, just like a motor. And you look at his style, he has flawless pedal cadence. He's not moving around on his bike. He's breathing really well. He just looks like in total control. And behind him is Tadej Pogacar, his teammate, just right on his wheel, and McNulty is setting the perfect pace. So American cycling might be coming up on a renaissance here. We have so many good American cyclists in this year's Tour. And these guys are young, so we'll see what happens in the next couple of years here. But getting back to the race, we got about 20K to go. McNulty is setting this perfect pace, and he essentially rides everyone off of his wheel except Pogacar and Vingegaard. But I got to tell you, McNulty, you have to watch this. Watch how incredible he is up these climbs. And I think he looked even stronger than Pogacar today. I have to say that. I'm going to declare that. If you look at it, Pogacar is suffering more. At one point, in fact, McNulty starts pulling away from Pogacar, setting the pace, and you see Pogacar reach for his microphone, his race radio microphone, to tell his team director to tell McNulty to slow down. But McNulty catches on, slows down. Pogacar doesn't have to get on the radio. But this is an indication that Brandon McNulty is riding himself into even better shape in this Tour. It's just incredible. So McNulty is leading up this second to last climb. At the very top, predictably, I would say, I predicted this when I was watching it, is Pogacar attacks. He attacks at the very summit just like he did yesterday and tries to drop Jonas Vingegaard on the downhill. Doesn't make any sense, but this is Pogacar. He likes to attack. He really does. And he's 2 minutes, 22 seconds back. He was kind of hoping and praying that he could maybe catch Vingegaard off guard. Doesn't work. Everyone gets back together. These top 3, Vingegaard, McNulty, and Pogacar, they're all together on the downhill, descending very skillfully. And now we're coming to the final climb with about 10 kilometers to go. And McNulty again gets to the front and sets this perfect pace. And you can see Pogacar suffering, but McNulty keeps it in this right in the perfect zone. And Vingegaard is tucked in third place, just riding the whole climb. McNulty is leading the entire climb. In fact, he leads all the way till about 300 meters to go. You rarely see that in a domestique leading all the way that close to the finish line. That just, to me, shows how strong he is, that Pogacar or Vingegaard didn't try to attack before that, because McNulty is just setting the pace so darn high. So now we're about 250 meters to go, and Vingegaard attacks. And as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, Pogacar has a punchier attack. Vingegaard has not quite as much acceleration. So Vingegaard attacks, so Pogacar is able to get on his wheel, and this is up a 14% grade, and it's pretty brutal. They're kind of drag racing side by side for a while, but finally Pogacar, he's got a slightly higher cadence. He's whipping his bike around, and he is able to take the stage win just ahead of Jonas Vingegaard. Now, because Pogacar takes the stage win, he gets a little bit of a time bonus over Vingegaard and chips away at his 2-minute 22-second deficit and gains 4 seconds. So that's helpful, but doesn't really matter. Geraint Thomas, who was sitting in third place overall, stays in third place, but loses 2 minutes to Pogacar and Vingegaard going up this climb. I still think he's going to hold it to Paris. He's far enough ahead of Nairo Quintana, who's in fourth place. So tomorrow is a very difficult mountain stage, probably the toughest of the Tour. If Pogacar is going to do anything, he's got to do it tomorrow. He's got to desperately try some attacks. I don't think he can do it. I really don't. I think, and then there's the final time trial on Saturday. Pogacar is slightly better than Vingegaard, but not really. I think Pogacar will not be able to win this year's Tour. I think, in fact, Pogacar lost the Tour this year on stage 11. So if you flash back to stage 11, this is a stage where it was one of the first significant mountain stages, and the Jumbo-Visma team really just bullied and beat up on Pogacar, attacked him, counterattacked him again. And I think they know his psychology. They knew that this would work because Pogacar responded to every single attack, chased down each Jumbo-Visma teammate by himself, which makes no sense because there are riders that were attacking on Jumbo-Visma that were not a threat to Pogacar on the overall, yet he couldn't help himself. He just had to attack. And I think Jumbo-Visma knew this. I think they know that Pogacar's weakness is that he loves to attack and he hates to lose. He wanted to win that stage 11, and he wasn't really calculating. You have to, in a stage race, you have to really calculate and conserve your energy. It's like a chess match. And I think he really lost the Tour on stage 11. He was chasing down all these attacks when he didn't need to. And then the final counterattack by Vingegaard, he puts over 2 minutes on Pogacar in just less than a couple of kilometers. That is, number one, testament to Vingegaard's fitness and strength in this year's Tour, and also shows Pogacar's major weakness is that he hates to lose, and you can provoke him and he can do irrational things. So that being said, Pogacar is an amazingly talented rider. Respect. It's my job to criticize because if I see it, I want to point it out and talk about that kind of psychology that if your default is that you just love to chase stuff down, you got to temper that. You have to change your style. You have to adapt. And I think Pogacar next year, because he's going to get second this year, I'm going to call it now, I think that Pogacar is going to have to change his style and ride a little bit more conservatively and calculating. So that is it for today. Tune in tomorrow. It's going to be an incredible mountain stage in the Pyrenees. And thanks for listening.